Labour has won the Peterborough by-election in a closely fought contest, with the Brexit Party holding the seat by just 683 votes. The Conservatives came third. The new MP, Lisa Forbes, said her victory showed that people have rejected the politics of division. The by-election was called after Fiona Onasanya, who was convicted of lying about a speeding offence, became the first MP to be ousted under recall rules. Our political correspondent Ian Watson sent this report from Peterborough, and just to tell you, his report contains flash photography.
The victory was narrow, but Labour's campaign was wide-ranging.
Who are we looking at?
Jeremy Corbyn met Lisa Forbes, the successful candidate in Peterborough, this morning. Instead of battling it out on Brexit, she'd highlighted council cuts and concerns over crime, and the Labour leader had a robust message for his political opponents.
All the experts wrote Labour off yesterday. Write Labour off at your peril. We are strong. We are very determined to offer that politics that invests in decent services, in decent housing, in decent health care.
Labour won here in Peterborough, but their vote share tumbled from the general election. But the key to their victory seems to be an ability to motivate their own core vote and to bringing activists from other parts of the country, from as far away as North Wales and the South Coast. Overnight, as the prospect of victory ebbed away, the Brexit Party leader kept a low profile. But today he took to the airwaves trying to explain why, in an area where 6 out of 10 voters backed Brexit in the referendum, his party had failed to secure an MP.
The Labour Party don't want to talk about Brexit because they're losing votes to the Brexit Party, votes to the Liberal Democrats, and the whole Brexit issue has become a nightmare for them. The reason Labour won is they've been knocking on doors in this town for many, many months, building up their data because they knew this by-election was coming. You know, in the end, these very localised campaigns are about getting out your vote. That's what they succeeded with last night, not much more.
Some voters here in Peterborough say they were motivated by a desire to see Brexit delivered, but others said that wider issues were uppermost in their minds.
Health service, look at that. I was in the health service for 36 years and it's a disaster, yeah? And then the schools, people having to buy their own stuff to go to school. That's what they've got to look at, but they've forgot about all that, haven't they?
In effect, the Conservatives came third in a two-horse race. In living memory, Peterborough has always been a Labour Conservative marginal. So could the change here have national significance?
Labour's vote is up by 9 points in the constituency as compared with what happened in the European elections. Enough for the Labour Party just to win the constituency, but, by the way, on the smallest share of the vote that has ever been sufficient to win a general election in post-war British politics.
One of the Conservative leadership contenders had his own analysis for the party's poor performance.
Good morning. I'm very sorry that our excellent candidate, Paul Bristow, didn't win in the Peterborough by-election. He would have made a superb MP for Peterborough. I think the result reminds us of two things: the vital importance of delivering Brexit and also the vital importance of making sure that we have a strong Conservative government that can prevent Jeremy Corbyn getting into Downing Street and ruining this country.
The election was a poor parting gift for Theresa May, who stands down as Conservative leader today. But it's still not clear if Brexit really has claimed its last prime ministerial scalp. Ian Watson, BBC News, Peterborough.
And let's get more from our political correspondent Ben Wright, who is in Peterborough. It was very tight, Ben. What do we make of this?
Well, Jane, this was almost one of those by-elections that we would have talked about for years to come. A great upset in the political weather. But in the end, it was Jeremy Corbyn doing a pretty brief lap of honour around here a couple of hours ago, and not Nigel Farage, who had very high hopes of chalking up a massive breakthrough for the Brexit Party. And the reason he was so hopeful is that obviously his new party did very well in the European elections just last month, coming top of that poll. The fact that this is a constituency that voted pretty firmly to leave the European Union back in 2016, and this contest happened because the previous MP was turfed out after a successful recall petition. So the conditions were pretty ripe for Nigel Farage's new party, but he didn't quite make it. And I think the reasons are that the Labour core vote remains strong. Labour has a well-established machine here for turfing out its supporters. That kicked in and was successful. And I think the Brexit Party did struggle to convince enough people that it was more than a one-trick pony, that it had something more to offer the voters of a constituency like Peterborough than just their message on Brexit. So in the end, they didn't make it. But there is not much comfort for the two main parties. Their share of the vote is significantly down. The Brexit Party almost crashed through, and it shows again just how much Brexit is coursing through the bloodstream of British politics at the moment.
Thanks very much, Ben Wright.
Very good afternoon to you and welcome to Sky News Today. Labour has beaten the Brexit Party in the Peterborough by-election, narrowly winning the seat. Lisa Forbes was elected last night on a reduced turnout and was only a few hundred votes ahead of the Brexit Party. Well, let's take a look at the result in more detail. Labour won by fewer than 700 votes. That's with the Brexit Party finishing a strong second. Nigel Farage's new party had been tipped to win the seat in a town where 60% of the electorate voted leave in the EU referendum. In third place were the Conservatives. The Liberal Democrats came fourth and the Greens fifth. That's amid a turnout of 48%. Meanwhile, Jeremy Corbyn has brushed off the fact that Labour won the Peterborough by-election by a very small majority.
The new party in Brexit Party, there were many predictions of how bad this election was going to be for Labour, but we carried on with a very clear message, with a very good candidate of opposing austerity and bringing communities together. And yesterday, the people of Peterborough responded and elected a Labour MP. This, by the way, is the worst result ever in the history of Peterborough for the Conservative Party. That shows that our message of investment, our message of giving hope for the future, got through, and we got the support, and we've got an excellent Labour MP for Peterborough.
Well, our political correspondent Tom Rayner is in Peterborough for us. Tom, a narrow win there for Labour over Nigel Farage's Brexit Party, but it's the most animated I've heard Jeremy Corbyn in his stump speech there for a while.
Yeah, he was very energised when he arrived. He gave Lisa Forbes, who's now the newly elected Labour MP for Peterborough, a big embrace when he arrived, and then delivered a stump speech, if you like, in the Cathedral Square, cheered on by a number of supporters. But I did speak to some activists who were out campaigning for Labour over the course of the last few weeks, and they say that, last night was really nerve-wracking for them. It was very close. They acknowledged that it was really tight, and that ultimately they're very proud of what they managed to do, and they think that the fact that Labour had the ground operation, as it's sometimes described, that ability to go out and get out and mobilise a vote, was crucial in delivering that narrow victory. As you heard, Jeremy Corbyn thinks that this is evidence that people are willing to vote beyond Brexit, that he thinks that their messages on austerity, on education funding and increasing the number of police has resonance, and that people are interested in voting along those lines. But clearly the Brexit divide was the key feature really in this by-election. We see that with the Brexit Party coming so close and really taking so much from the Conservatives. There will be concerns for Labour as well about the fact that their vote share decreased. They saw a 17% slip from where they were in 2017 in terms of the vote share. So that will be of some concern. I asked Jeremy Corbyn about that, and he said, well, look, this is a different set of parties. There are different parameters around this vote. He didn't seem too worried about it. I think what will necessarily happen, though, now is that there will be a race to try and use what has happened here, use those results to justify positions. You were seeing that to some degree with Jeremy Corbyn. When we were speaking to him earlier, we were asking about the second referendum. Of course, there has been a shift, it felt like, in the recent week or so, with John McDonnell, the Shadow Chancellor, and other senior figures in the Shadow Cabinet saying that they thought the time was now to start moving to build a parliamentary majority for some kind of public vote. Jeremy Corbyn very much staying on the line that he wants to see a Brexit that delivers jobs and protects jobs and delivers on Labour's outline for what they want to see in terms of the UK leaving the EU. Didn't give any real nod to a second referendum, simply said that if Labour were to get in a general election, that would, it seems, try to renegotiate, put a deal to Parliament, and then that there would be a public vote on any deal, but that Parliament would have to vote on it first. So no change from the Labour leader, at least, despite all the pressure that's being put on him by those senior figures in the shadow cabinet. From the Conservative perspective, of course, all of the contenders in that leadership race are now racing to use the pitiful performance of the party here last night as a means of justifying their own proposed Brexit strategies. People like Esther McVeigh and Dominic Raab, both hardline Brexiteers, if you like, say that this shows that the Conservative Party has no option, has no electoral viability, unless it embraces leaving without a deal on October the 31st.
All right, Tom, thank you.